Hey, and welcome to Star Wars 101. In this video, we're going to be doing a breakdown for the Book of Boba Fett, Episode 6. I thought this episode was amazing, I really liked it, and I thought there was a nice even balance between the two sides of the story. I know there were a lot of remarks about how Episode 5 seemed more like a Mando Season 3 episode rather than a Book of Boba Fett episode. However, telling more of the original story in this episode kind of eliminated that factor for me. And I think out of the current 6 episodes, this one would take first. So if you enjoy this breakdown, then make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment down below telling me what you thought of this episode. And with all that said, let's dive in. It begins in the middle of the moisture farms of Tatooine, and a small group of Pikes are in the middle of a spice deal exchanging many New Republic credits. Also, for a fun fact, the security container they are using is the same container many thought might have been an ice cream maker in The Empire Strikes Back, and it was used in Mando Season 1 as well. Eventually, the Marshal of Mos Pelgo, Cobb Vanth, stops the exchange before it goes any further. Of course you most likely remember him from The Mandalorian Season 2, but he actually originates from the Aftermath series of books, where he collects Boba Fett's armor from a Jawa crawler. In an amazing scene, he kills all the Pikes except one after trying to negotiate with them. He leaves one alive because he wants to send the Pikes a message that his town will not be part of their operation. Vanth then kicks over the spice so it can't be used by anyone. We then see Mando in his new Naboo starfighter entering the atmosphere of an interesting planet that doesn't have a name yet, but is seen in the comics as the Jedi Temple world of Luke Skywalker's new Jedi Order. As he lands on the world, he is greeted by none other than R2-D2. Mando tells R2 that he's looking for Luke Skywalker so that he may see Grogu. While walking, Mando notices some unique-looking droids called ant droids. And also, these droids have never been shown in comics or movies anywhere before. R2 leads him to an open area where the droids are constructing a temple. The same temple from the comics and the sequels. Eventually, R2 powers off, and since Luke is nowhere to be seen, Mando takes a seat to wait for him. Next, we finally see Luke Skywalker himself communing with Grogu through the Force. Now during this part, I was just amazed at how much better they did with Luke's face than they did in The Mandalorian Season 2. There were honestly some scenes where I forgot it wasn't actually him. And in my opinion, the voice actor did a very good job at mimicking Mark Hamill's younger voice as well. A little later, Luke takes Grogu for a walk through the Force to tell him about a very powerful and wise Jedi Master he once knew, Yoda. While they walk, Luke helps him along with the Force because his tiny body can't keep up, which I thought was pretty funny. During the walk, Luke tells Grogu the line, "Size matters not," that Yoda once told him while training on Dagobah, and then asks him if he can remember his home. Now, we learned from Ahsoka in The Mandalorian that Grogu has suppressed his memories and even his Force sensitivity in order to protect himself after Order 66. So, Luke helps him remember by using the Force. This is when the episode really starts to get bizarre, as Grogu is forced into a very painful, traumatic memory of Operation Nightfall. Inside, we see 3 Jedi Knights protecting the temple as they are shot down right in front of Grogu. I think this scene is really cool because we only get to see very little of what happened during Operation Nightfall inside the Jedi Temple. And hopefully, as the series goes on, we'll get to see a little bit more. Heading back to Mando, he is suddenly awakened by the presence of Ahsoka Tano. And this is also a really cool scene because we didn't even know if Ahsoka had ever met Luke before this. When he is surprised to see her, she tells him that she is an old friend of the family, referring to her apprenticeship to Anakin Skywalker. Ahsoka and Mando then go on their own walk to meet Grogu and Luke, and Ahsoka starts to ask Mando a few difficult questions. She asks him if he's visiting for Grogu or for himself, and why he really wants to see the child. Mando responds by telling her he wants to give him the Beskar armor, because it is his right as a Mandalorian foundling. Then she asks, is he a foundling or a Padawan? Ahsoka warns Mando that if he sees him, it will only make more problems for Grogu as a Jedi. Mando selflessly hands the gift to Ahsoka, asking her to deliver it for him. Shortly after, Grogu sees Din fly off into the distance inside of a backpack on Luke's back, which is a fun reversal of Luke with Yoda on Dagobah. While training Grogu to force jump for the first time, Luke says a modified version of Yoda's "there is no try, do or do not," saying, "don't try, do." A while later, Luke takes Grogu through a bamboo training course before igniting his green lightsaber, and also pulling out the training droid he used in A New Hope, to test Grogu's reflexes. And this scene was probably one of my favorite parts out of the whole episode, seeing Luke do the lightsaber form in front of Grogu. After Grogu defeats the training droid, Ahsoka tells Luke he is training him well. To this, Luke says it's more that he is remembering than I am teaching him, which could be a loophole to Ben Solo being his first student, as in the comics. Once Ahsoka gives Luke the armor, she says you're so much like your father, which was a beautiful statement for many Star Wars fans. After their conversation ends, Ahsoka leaves in a way that makes Luke wonder if he will ever see her again. However, I think that this could be a beginning to Ahsoka going to look for Ezra Bridger, as he was lost in the end of the Rebels series. Also, we know she was gathering information about Thrawn on Corvus, so maybe she is finally ready to start the expedition. Going back to Tatooine, everyone in Boba's team meet and begin to plan their next move against the Pikes. Fennec says that with Mando and Black Chrysanthemum, they have enough muscle to protect Mos Espa, but not enough ground troops for an all-out war. Mando then tells them he might have a solution, which leads us to Mos Pelgo. Also, on the way to the town, he notices a Jawa crawler hauling the skeletal head of a krayt dragon, most likely the one Mando helped kill in Mando Season 2. Din meets with Cobb Vanth and asks him to lead a garrison of his best fighters. Also, inside the cantina, it is decorated with more of the krayt dragon's skeleton. During their conversation, we learn that they have renamed their town Freetown again. Once Mando leaves, Cobb Vanth notices an ominous figure in the distance and orders everyone inside. As the person gets closer, we find out that it is the infamous bounty hunter, Cad Bane. Cad Bane demands that they leave the Pikes alone, but after he sees that Vanth isn't having any of it, he blasts him and his deputy, presumably killing them both. The whole standoff was actually a big callback to the showdown between Bane and Boba in an unfinished episode of the Clone Wars. Boba was tired of Bane treating their hostages inhumane, and the two fired at each other simultaneously, hitting each other in the head. This is where Boba got his famous helmet dent from, and we know from Star Wars The Bad Batch that Cad Bane survived this fight just by installing a cybernetic plate on his head. So, the reason Cad Bane tells Vanth, "You should have kept your armor," is because he is remembering this exact same fight. Later in Mos Espa, two shady-looking Pikes enter the sanctuary and drop off a security container. However, it is filled with explosives and blows up the building, with many new characters still inside. Back on the Temple World, we see Luke and Grogu sitting together in one of the first huts. Luke then presents Grogu with a massive choice to either take Yoda's lightsaber and become his student, or take Mando's gift and become a Mandalorian. It is obvious Grogu is torn between the two, but before he makes his choice, we are left on a cliffhanger. So that's it for this breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like I said before, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment down below telling me what you think of this episode. I really liked the episode, but one thing that did throw me off in the ending was in a 2017 Vader comic, Mas Amedda destroyed Yoda's lightsaber by throwing it in a fiery furnace, along with all the other lightsabers of the Jedi that were hunted down during Order 66. So make sure to keep an eye out for a video explaining that later. And with all that said, have a great day.